All right, so this section, the idea behind it is to give you a kind of insight to how the project management environment works. At PMO today, we run regular project simulations where our clients get a taste of what it's like to really run various types of projects, and we'll have a bit of role play there. So you'll have some people who are the difficult stakeholder, some people are the skeptical stakeholder, and then we will have our clients take on the role of project lead or project planner or project business analyst, and they would essentially go through the motions of delivering this project. So what we're going to do in this section, however, is kind of like give you a day in the life of 3 different project management professionals. Okay, so what aspects do project professionals display regularly in their work environments? So, first up, it is expected that there is a high level of professionalism when you are a project management professional. Mainly because it's when you think about it, a lot of what we do in our corporate environments, in our organizational environments, they're mirrored in the project management setting, administration, coordinating, communication, all of that good stuff. But you see, right now, there's a premium that is paid when you have got in a group of project management professionals. So the level of professionalism is expected to be a bit higher, because really and truly many organizations should be able to deliver their own change themselves, but usually they don't. They're not able to. And what happens is that you get at times quite an expensive group of people to come in and deliver this work. And so hence why there's that expectation of professionalism that is expected. So as a project management professional, most of the time, if not all of the time, that level of being quite professional in how you do things, how you approach things, is going to be expected of you. A successful project management professional these days recognizes that they've got to be customer-centric. I work a lot within the PMO space. I'm in fact a PMO consultant as well as being a change consultant. And what you begin to realize quite quickly is that especially when you work within the PMO space, where you are driving activities such as reporting and governance and all of that, it can't be that you become solely focused on the activity. What you've got to be focused on is your customers. Your customers are the people who use your PMO. So if you're finding that, they spend a lot of time generating all of this governance type work and they're feeling challenged in terms of being able to deliver what they're there for, you've got to address that. And what happens there is that you are now not demanding all these reports just for the sake of demanding the reports. What's important is the people that need your service. Are they actually getting the value and the benefit from your service? And that's how you become more customer centric rather than being very focused on the activity. The art of communication. Yes, there is an art to communication. There are times where, in fact, majority of the time, especially if you are a project management professional who is a contractor, and you're brought into this organization, there is a way to deal with negative situations. You could say to somebody that their work is poor, and you can say it in such a way that it's more about helping them do better rather than putting them down. And that's what we refer to as the art of communication. Project management professionals, because there's that high level of professionalism that is expected of you, that high level of professionalism requires a lot of communication. And these days, especially with the whole pandemic and the global lockdown and all of that, we're now finding that not only do we have to have that art of communication when we're with one another face to face, but even when our cameras are turned on, even the tone of our voice, all of these things are now becoming sort of like areas that we need to pay attention to. So the art of communication, as a project management professional, you are always communicating, even when you're not saying anything, even when you're just in a meeting on a Zoom call, just really looking on. Your eyes, your facial expression, your body language is all communicating, and it's expected of us in these environments. Good project management professionals are solution oriented. We're not there to just impose a whole load of rules and regulations just for the sake of it. We're there to bring solutions. More and more now, more organizations, more committees are asking, what's the value of what you're about to deliver? What is the benefit to us? When can we begin to reap these benefits? And so a program team that is going to deliver benefits and value needs to be focused on solutions. Most of the time, if not all the time, when a project team, a program team are called in, is because there is a problem that needs to be solved. And you can't just be that program team or project team that come in and you're generating all these reports, you're generating all this governance, you're going to all these meetings, but there is no value. No solutions are being preferred. So, a project management professional, more often than not, you're focused on bringing about solutions in that environment. And also, we talk about being strategic. If whatever it is you're doing does not align to the organization's strategy, then you've got to ask yourself, why are you doing it? And if you don't ask yourself why you're doing it, pretty soon the people who have employed you will ask you, what on earth are you doing? And, it's not good enough in this day and age now to say, well, I'm just doing what you told me to do. No, I asked you to come and solve a problem. I didn't ask you to just come and generate a whole lot of activity. So project management professionals need to be strategic. You have to understand, what is it that I am doing right now that is aligning my customer, my clients, with their objectives, their strategic objectives. Project management professionals, there is quite a list of skills that are needed as project management professionals. These are the main ones. So we've got soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills, leadership. Management doesn't really work within project environments. Why? Because really and truly you want your team to be quite high performing. There needs to be a high level of initiative taking. You don't want to stifle your team. You don't want them to be in a situation that everything needs to be reported back to you, especially if you're the lead. You want them to be able to have a level of autonomy so they can check in with you. But they mustn't feel like as if every little thing you've got to dot the I and cross the T. And so for that to happen, we call that leadership. Okay, so you lead your team in such a way that they're inspired, they're innovative, they take ownership. Those are all when a team is being led, those are the outputs that you have. The art of communication, that's a skill. And it's a skill that not only every project management professional, everybody needs to have a very good way of communicating. More often than not, you're in the project management environment, it can get tense. It can get a bit fast-paced, but you still got to have your communication intact. And you're not only just communicating one-on-one, you got to think about your communication when you are presenting, when you're in a team meeting, when you are presenting maybe a town hall, for instance, when you're on a Zoom call, when you're communicating with your clients, whole lot of communication being done. When you're writing an email, the amount of times where I've been told that my email sounded a bit blunt, and I'm thinking, well, I better take a look at that. So communication is very key. The ability to make decisions. Even as a project administrator, you'll be making decisions. You could be looking at a particular supplier and thinking, this supplier never meets our SLA. You don't just stick with them. You not only look at that supplier, look at their SLAs, come up with a list of potential new suppliers. That's when you go to your project lead and say, right, this particular supplier is messing up. I've got a whole bunch of other suppliers to look at. What do you think? Decision making. You've made a decision to review that particular process. You might not have the ultimate decision, but at least you did something. Negotiation, the ability to negotiate, the ability to sometimes say, well, I know you want these 7,000 things done, but you can only have 3,000 of these things done. So let's agree what is going to be done. And I should have put there as well, being assertive. You know, being assertive is a fine balance, because sometimes you might find yourself being passive, or you might find yourself being aggressive. So you've got to be assertive. And in that comes negotiation and being able to communicate. And then we have time management, being able to prioritize your time, being able to look at your workload and see conflicting needs and decide what's the most important right now. And the thing about it is that if all of us as project management professionals can have a very good level of emotional intelligence, know how to speak, know how to treat others, have a level of empathy, you know, if we all can be like that, then, you know, the output of that is that we could get really good results from one another. You know, it's been a while since I've worked in an environment whereby I have very unreasonable stakeholders. I have had that in the past, but not lately. But essentially, there are times, and there's a lot of times where you will have conflicting priorities, and if everybody is given that autonomy to decide what's best and what's not, if they're given that space, then we should always be able to arrive at a place where we can trust one another that we're making the right decisions for the project. Then we have hard skills or professional skills, and it's basically all the things that we've been talking about. Being able to do all of these things, they will make for a very smooth sailing if you've got all of these things, if you understand them and you know how they apply. So what does a typical day look like? Generally, you start your day with messages, queries, and questions. They've either come in via a meeting, or they've come in via email, they're coming in via your Slack, your Trello. You know, basically, morning time is about dealing with all of those things that have come up while you were switched off. And then you come to mid-morning, we're talking about meetings, you know, catch-ups with finance, catch-ups with the team, catch-up with clients, meetings galore. And you know, you go into the afternoon and meetings are still happening. You know, it could be meetings now with external people, you know, because the day has started and now you want to catch up with them. But generally, the majority of your day as a project management professional will be in one meeting or the other. And then as you kind of like begin to round up those meetings, some of us are lucky enough to not have meetings right up until the end of the day. And then by the end of the day, now you've got to do your housekeeping. So that's when you've got to do your reports, and you've got to update all your PPM tools, and you've got to make sure that that data is correct, and you've got to reply the emails that have been churning in, because they're not going to stop because you've been in meetings. You know, you do your housekeeping. That takes you up until the end of your day. All right, so let's put all of what I've just talked about into sort of like a scenario, if you like. So here we have Chika. Chika owns and runs her own consultancy, and her consultancy delivers project management services to organizations within the legal industry. Most of her clients are law practices. So because Chika works as a practice manager for many years, she's able to help her clients set up legal practice processes such as billing, customer relationship management, documentation management, the right applications, and much more. So she essentially walks into their legal practice and she puts everything in order, whether it's about process, whether it's about the right people, whether it's about the right tools. That's essentially what she does. So what I wanted to do was to kind of like give you a sense of what her day looks like. So it's Monday. Chika typically starts her day running through her emails. One of her New Year resolutions is to have a healthy work-life balance, so she didn't look at anything over the weekend. So she has a whole host of emails to respond to. Some of the emails are questions from her team, some are requests from her assistant discussing new opportunities, and some are from suppliers asking questions about some orders that she has put in. So like I said, it's Monday. This is when Chika meets with the members of her team to have a status meeting. So everybody comes in, you know, she's got a whole portfolio of work that is going on. So apart from running the consultancy, she also has various clients that have various initiatives going on. So she has her own team, that her whole team that all have the projects split up between each other. And so what they do is they come in, they give a status update, they talk about challenges, how they're going to be resolved, and what the next steps are going to be. By midday, it's time for Chika to attend meetings. So that's going to be back to back. She's working on implementing a new finance system for one of her clients. There's another client that has a customer relationship database. So she's managing these particular projects herself because these are new clients and they're quite high profile ones as well. So in terms of the systems that need to be implemented, she's got some contractors that are working on that. And so they are providing sort of like the subject matter, and she is just directing things and making sure that these all of the projects are going according to plan. So today Chika also has to meet with companies. Today Chika has to meet with the companies who are going to supply these systems for her clients. So she's going to go in there. She's going to discuss requirements. She's going to talk about implementation. She's going to be doing, she has basically found that she's going to have to really run these projects on her own because these particular clients, like I said, are high profile and they are new. So that takes her up to sort of like about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening. So she finishes off the day by looking at the various project plans for all the projects within her company. Because what she likes to do is she will go onto the PPM tool, the project portfolio management tool, and she will look at everybody's plan. You know, so obviously when she was doing a status update with them in the morning, she was taking note of all the things that they were saying, and she was just, you know, making sure. So her going back in the evening to look at those project plans is to just ensure that everything is going according to plan and that, you know, everybody is fine. So before she closes for the day, she takes a look at the various messages and that have come in over her phone, over her emails. She responds to the ones that she needs to for the day, and she shelves the rest for tomorrow. So we got a sense of how, you know, Chika's day has gone. You know, let's look at those soft skills and hard skills in play. So as a leader, she recognizes that she needs to have good people in place, and once she has those good people in place, she doesn't have to micromanage them. It's the reason why she will do a status update. She will look at their plans, she will look at their reports, and she's just basically making sure that all is well. And if there is anything that is untowards, she will call for a meeting with that individual, and they will have that conversation. So much goes into communication. Like I said, it's not just about talking, it's about the tone of your voice, the words you choose, your body language. We spend a lot of time on video conferencing tools these days, so people are looking at your face, they're looking at your body language, they're listening to you, well, most of the times anyway. It's also about how we write emails, how we write proposals, business cases. Again, this is all the art of communication, you know. So for Chika, that plays a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of that going on in Chika's world. She's writing emails, she's texting, she's instant messaging, she's writing proposals, a lot of communication. She's going into meetings, a lot of communication is happening in her world. She's a decision maker. She runs a firm as well as manages projects. She empowers her team. So she's making decisions pretty much across the day. She's making decisions about suppliers. She's making decisions about team members. She's making decisions about what systems to use for her clients. Decisions. So, you know, that's a very big part of what she does. And so as a project manager, you know, within the industry that you have chosen, especially when you get to that management level, you really got to know your onions, so they say. You got to be business savvy. You got to be industry savvy. You've got to understand how it works. You know, if you're running an organization, if you're running your own practice, as well as delivering for your clients, you've got to have very good commercial acumen, very strategic in your approach, always, you know, doing your best to make sound decisions. Negotiation. So Chika runs her own business. So yes, she would be able to negotiate terms and conditions. She would need to, you know, in order for her to be able to get the best out of whatever it is she's trying to do. So at times she's taking off her project manager hat and she's putting on her director hat. She's negotiating on behalf of her firm in terms of terms and conditions, in terms of what can be done and what shouldn't be done, in terms of timelines, in terms of money. She's making all of that decisions. She's also doing the same for her clients as a project manager. You know, when she goes out and she's speaking to suppliers on behalf of her clients, she's negotiating on their behalf as well. Terms and conditions, the right SLA, you know, she's setting expectations, she's doing all of that. And she's been able to negotiate more time, more resources in exchange for benefits, that project to be able to produce what it needs to produce. She is very good at managing her time, you know. So one of the reasons why she needed to get good about that is because she really wanted a healthy work-life balance. And in order for you to have a healthy work-life balance, you've got to be able to manage your time. You know, so it means that she has to get up early. She finishes a bit later than the 9 to 5, but once she's finished. So she's not picking up work again until the very next day. But not only is she managing time on a kind of like a firm basis, she's also ensuring that not herself and her team are managing schedules right. They are making the best of the resources, the time, the tools that they have. She's making sure that the processes within her organization are quite lean so that her team are not being fatigued with unnecessary practice. And so her hard skills, you know, planning and scheduling, like I said, these are two different activities. And so she does a lot of planning. She doesn't do too much scheduling. She has her team, and it's all part of leading. You know, she's decided that she's not going to do the scheduling herself. Once she's agreed the plans with her team members, they can go ahead and create their own schedule. She'll just keep an eye on things. You know, a lot of the project finances are managed by the her finance department. She has someone who manages the finances, and so they just report into her and help her understand. So what she's interested in is she wants to know of any variances. She wants to know of any projects that are running and it looks like we might run out of their money beforehand. She wants to understand why that has happened. She wants to make sure that her team lets her know that as soon as possible. software and applications. Every project manager these days, you've really got to get comfortable with applications. You know, the more you're familiar with them and comfortable with them, the more, you know, in terms of your time, in terms of carrying out certain tasks in a more time efficient way becomes the norm. So like if you're the kind of person that, you know, you're on the go during the day, you want to have a smartphone, you want to have things like Slack on there, you want to have things like your Outlook on there, you want to have notifications popping up, and so on and so forth. So you want to be very comfortable with that. And not only that, as a project manager, now Chika in her case, she not only needs to know how to manage these applications herself and use them for herself, but she needs to be able to know them to the point that she can begin to have the right conversations on behalf of her clients with the various suppliers that bring all these applications. So that's very important as well. And then the last thing is frameworks and methodologies. Chika is very experienced within the legal industry. She understands the methodologies that work best for them. She understands the documents that need to be produced within those methodologies. And so that's something that she's mastered quite quickly. Okay, now let's look at the life of a project coordinator. Okay. Now, as the name suggests, a project coordinator coordinates while a project manager manages. Another way to look at a project coordinator is that they may be sort of like an assistant project manager, or maybe a deputy project manager, or maybe a junior project manager. They're just kind of like, this is their entry role, but they're still kind of like a key part of that project. There are no hard and fast rules. Organizations really do decide what they're going to name their project professionals. You know, so you might meet a project coordinator who's quite advanced as far as the organization is concerned, and they've just decided that they call their people project coordinators as opposed to project managers. So we are still in Chika's company, and let's say hello to Asif. Asif is one of her project coordinators. So again, let's get a sense of what's happening in Asif's day. Asif, just like Chika, starts his day with a whole load of emails to respond to. His emails will primarily focus on the projects that he's working on. Now, he's going to be working on more than one project. He's a project coordinator for more than one project. And his focus, however, is the project schedules, the project logs. He's the point of contact for any of his projects. You know, so if anybody phones the organization or gets in touch with the organization, they first of all speak to Asif if he is the project coordinator for that particular project. The finance person usually talks to him first about anything, definitely things on a day-to-day basis. And so you can get a sense of the kind of emails that are going to be working for him. So, you know, Monday is the status update. So Asif is going to be presenting on all of his projects. He's going to give a sense of what's happening schedule-wise. He's going to give a sense of any of the challenges that are going on, any decisions that he might need, any actions that he needs to follow up, all of that sort of thing. So that's going to be his focus while he's doing the status update. So by the time Chika comes back from her meetings, Asif is on hand to have conversations with her about the various, so what's will happen is that even though Chika is leading on those two projects that we talked about, Asif is going to be coordinating on her behalf. So Chika will basically give him an insight as to what's happened. So Chika will deal with the more strategic elements of the project, you know, confirming what the client needs are, getting the statement of work done, shortlisting the suppliers, negotiating the fees. Once all of these things are in place, Asif will take over, set things up, coordinate things on a day-to-day basis, let Chika know what progress is being made, bring her in when there are any difficulties, and so on and so forth. So Asif's had his status updates in the day. He's now in a lot of meetings. And a lot of those meetings would include Chika and Chika updating him. So now he's kind of like, halfway through the afternoon, getting to the late afternoon now, and it's time to get some housekeeping done. Things like updating the project schedule, tweaking project documentation, working through the project finances, updating the risk and issue logs. These are the sorts of things that Asif will be dealing with. So, in terms of soft skills, what does Asif need to bear in mind? Now, of course, he is a project coordinator. He has a level of leadership. So let's say, for instance, he's managing he's coordinating a big project. He might have a project administrator that reports into him to help him with the workload. And so one of the things that he's going to be dealing with is understanding the scope, the extent of his leadership. What are the things that he should take decisions on, and what are the things that he should be escalating to Chika? These are soft skills. They're not apparent, but as you get into organizations and you understand things like tact, diplomacy, culture. You get into a particular, if you went to work in the army, the culture, the atmosphere is going to be completely different if you went to work in the fashion industry, that sort of thing. So as a leader, Asif is understanding what is it that he needs to deal with and what is it that he needs to escalate. Communication wise, he's diplomatic. There'll be certain things that he may not say, but he knows what the answer is going to be. But because of the situation, it's not his place. As we like to say, it is above our pay grade. He will escalate that to Chika. Get Chika to do the dirty work, right? And when it comes to him representing the organization at that time, there's a lot of tact that he needs to display. If he's dealing with a very angry client, he needs to keep his cool. And he needs to be able to use the right words, the right tone of voice, the right body language to make sure that the situation does not escalate. Decision making, again, understanding where he needs to be assertive, understanding the degree to which he can exercise his authority, understand what he can deal with and what he needs to escalate. Negotiation, being able to negotiate with senior stakeholders, being able to negotiate with peers, being able to negotiate with the people you manage. So there are times where even though you are a quote-unquote senior, you're dealing with somebody who's quite difficult. And if we all understand the rules and regulations that apply to the world of work, you do not want a lawsuit on your hands. So being able to negotiate and being able to navigate some of these complexities, these are all of the soft skills that not only him as a project coordinator, but in fact anybody really, these are the things that he needs to bear in mind. But more so because in as much as he is in a bit of a leadership position, he's not fully leadership. He doesn't have full scope, full authority to call all the shots. Time management, he's going to be doing a lot of prioritizing. He's going to be doing a lot of juggling. He's going to have to understand where he can say no, when he can say no. So like I said, while I was giving you a sense of what Asif gets up to, he's planning, he's scheduling, he's doing a lot of project finance. He's on his software and applications are on all day. He's in and out of those all day. He's very versed about frameworks and methodologies because he's the one facilitating the various meetings. He's the one creating the various templates. He's the one updating those templates. He's the one making sure that they are where they're supposed to be so that when people are looking for them, they know where to find them. He's the one doing the continuous improvement in terms of how should we do benefit realization in this organization? How should we manage our risks and issues? What is a better way of doing these things? So essentially what I'm saying is that the life of a project coordinator, you are senior to a certain extent, but you have to understand to what extent your authority stretches. What is it you can say yes to? What is it you can say no to, while still maintaining that very high level of professionalism? Okay, next let's look at the life of a project administrator. Project administrators are sometimes referred to as project support officers. They essentially support the project leaders and provide the administrative support needed for that project to run. So Laura works for Chika as well, and like Chika and Asif, she starts her day responding to all the emails, the inquiries. I mean, Laura is referred to as the hub. She's the first point of contact. There will be times where even Asif is not at his desk, and Laura is the project administrator for the entire organization. So a lot of things will first of all land at her desk, or she's copied in a lot of things when they're going to Asif, when they're going to Chika. It has become known that, you want anything done, you want to know where anything is, Laura is the place to be. So she's constantly having people pinging her on the various messaging platforms, emails, text messages, Teams, and any other communication device you can think of. Okay, so the week starts with status updates. Like I said before, Laura has been the one to take the minutes and the actions at all the meetings. She makes sure that all the right attendees have been invited. She reorganizes the meeting if key people cannot make it. She chases up on individuals before the meeting, make sure that their actions are up to date and they have an explanation for when the actions are not up to date. She circulates the agenda, the actions, and she's there to facilitate meeting after meeting. So most of the time these days, especially as our lives have become quite revolved around Teams and Zoom and all of that, more often than not, people like Laura, they are open up the meeting on her laptop. She's coordinating the slides, she's keeping an eye on attendees, the people are waiting in the lobby and things like that. She's looking at the messages that are left in chat. She's updating, keeping the meeting lead informed of what's going on in the chat and that sort of thing. That's what we mean by her facilitating the meeting. So as the role suggests, Laura plays a very big role in ensuring that the project's various documentations are all kept updated. She works very much in line with Asif, so things like the RAID log, the project finances, the project plan. She will assist Asif in all of that. She would also be responsible for creating documents, so briefs, proposals, Excel sheets, PowerPoint presentation. She's going to be very good. She's very good at Excel. She's very good at PowerPoint. She's very good at a lot of applications because, the various documentations that are being churned out by Chika, by Asif, she's the one that's really kind of like putting those together. So what might happen is that they would give her sort of like a sense of what they need to go in there, and she will go and do the finish and, make it really professional and so on and so forth. Okay, and so as she's helping with all of that, her day is very much revolving around supporting the administrative function, making sure that the right meetings are happening, making sure that all these documentations and all these tools and applications are all updated, and she's very much involved with all the projects that are going on within the organization. And from an organizational point of view, she has an overview, a sense of what's going on. She works with the finance person, she works with the facilities person. Like I said, she is that hub, she is that connector in that organization. So she has a very big role to play. So what soft skills does she need? Again, like I said to you, as project management professionals, we all have to adopt this mindset of leadership. Now, in Laura's case, she is supporting Asif and Chika, so she's using her initiative. She's observing things, she's keeping an eye on things, she's monitoring, she's asking questions. She's not passive, she's not responsive. She is on top of her game. Okay, as a project management professional, generally, you go into certain areas and they'll say a project administrator is earning X. And And that X may be slightly more different to if you were working as just a secretary or you were working as just a administrator without the project before it. So in terms of communication, apart from exhibiting all the things that we talked about that Chika needs to exhibit, that Assertive needs to exhibit, she also has to think about confidentiality, being discreet. Imagine you're in a meeting. She's going to be in a lot of meetings, a lot of high-powered meetings, a lot of crucial meetings, a lot of meetings where a lot of things are being discussed. So she gets into that meeting now, and basically this meeting is focused on a particular individual. It's not looking good for that individual. She knows everything. She took the notes and everything. When she sees that individual outside of that meeting, she must not display any way that she knows what she knows. Okay? So that's what we mean by being discreet. You know, decision making, again, also she knowing the scope of her authority, in as much as she can observe that some things are not going right. She can't just go ahead and make the decision, but she can prepare a case. She can prepare something that she could take to Chika, she could take to Asif and said, I noticed that this and this is not happening. I put together some ideas. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want me to progress with. Negotiation, again, being assertive, that balance between not being aggressive, not being passive so that you don't experience burnout, but being that kind of person that, you know, you look people in the eye, you're reasonable, and you ask them to be reasonable as well. Time management, being able to competing priorities, no doubt. What I just described to you today there is that Laura not only oversees the portfolio, oversees the organization, but she also oversees the whole portfolio as well in terms of ensuring that everything is where it's supposed to be. So she will have competing priorities, and she needs to be vocal about that. She needs to ask questions about that. She needs to make sure that, you know, everything arrives when it should arrive, as needed and as when. So her hard skills, you know, she's going to be highly skilled as an administrator. There's one thing to be an administrator. You're already, as an administrator, you've got to be coordinated. You've got to be able to manage your time, your tasks. You've got to be good at your industry. You've got to be good at what you do. Apart from that, then you've got to take it up a notch, you know, that level of professionalism. So she's going to be a highly skilled administrator. So if you are the kind of person you cannot stand meetings, if you are the kind of person that whenever you start looking at figures in the sheet, your eyes start to blur, when you think about, oh my goodness, this document is 70 pages long, and you start to want to jump off a building, then probably the project environment, it may not be for you. So applications, she's very good at her applications, her software applications. She's able to use Office 365, Google Apps, and so many other applications. Meeting management, organizing the meetings, facilitating the meetings, taking the actions at the meetings, at the meeting being that person who is kind of like watching for different things that are happening while the chair of the meeting can get on and chair the meeting. That's what we mean by meeting management. High quality documentation, being able to create them, templates, reports, presentations, spreadsheets, dashboards. So these are things like the main bread and butter of a project administrator. All right. So we're nearly there now. I just thought I'd just throw this in, project management career paths. You know, what you're looking at right now is an old chart produced by an organization called Axelos. They are a project management training organization in the United Kingdom. So what this chart does is to show various roles, 5 areas: project management, program management, portfolio management, the PMO, and the last group at the bottom here are for professionals who want to specialize. So between level 1 and 2 here, between level 1 and 2, you have entry-level project management professionals. But I must add that even though they may be entry-level project management, you should still possess at least a couple of years worth of experience, exhibiting all of those hard and soft skills that I shared with you at the support level. did you notice that the portfolio manager is between levels 4 and 5? So for anyone to be a portfolio manager, being able to ensure that groups of projects and programs are delivering in line with strategy, you begin to get a sense of how you need to be positioned. You have to have a good sense of that industry. You have to have a good sense of that organization, where they're headed strategically, so that when you govern those portfolios, you know what it is to look for, you know how to look for them, because there'll be a lot of detail in there. And you need to be able to position yourself in such a way that you have enough information to make sure that those portfolios are on track. So, to recap, you got your project management level up here, project coordinators, entry 1 and 2, project manager is between 2 and 4, and then you've got senior project manager. So that's all on the project management level. Then you've got program management. So program coordinator, so you're that kind of person that you're overseeing the program's themes, the program's governance. If you think about what happens in the program governance, the program themes, the program principles, you are overseeing all of that from an administrative point of view. So you can see that that stretches all the way from entry level 1 all the way to almost 3. And see where the program manager sits, because you're going to be overseeing a vision. You're going to be overseeing a number of work packages and a number of projects. And not only that, you're going to be giving that management experience, which means that you should have a very good sense of those type of programs. And then obviously you see the program director is sitting between the level 4 and 5. You have to be very experienced to be able to do what that is necessary there. And look at portfolio management, nothing in 1, 2, and 3. So there isn't really any entry level portfolio management. You're right here between levels 4 and 5, gives you a sense of what you need to have going on to be able to be a portfolio manager or portfolio director. Then we come over here, project program portfolio office, so this is essentially the PMO space, and you have PMO, you can have a PMO entry level from between 1 to 3. And essentially what you're doing there, when you think about it, is that if you have a PMO where they've only got 2 programs and 2 projects, then you could come in as an entry level person who perhaps has transferable skills and experience from another industry. You could come in and do that good justice. And so that idea that you could come in and be a PMO coordinator from entry level is very feasible. And you see where the PMO analyst, the amount of times I have to correct people in the sense that, okay, that's not an analyst, okay, that is probably a support person. So a PMO analyst is their role is not only to provide support and administration, it's also to give insight, it's also to be proactive, it's to be the custodian of the objectives of that particular PMO. And not only are they doing that, they may be mentoring other support people, they may be doing training, they may be doing continuous improvement. And so you can see how that's positioned on that grid. And then you have the PMO manager, who's essentially overseeing the entire PMO. Okay. And then we have the specialists. The project management space is such a great space to get into. You could come in as sort of like an entry person and begin to think about, what am I going to do? Do I really want to be a project manager? You don't have to be if you don't want to. You could become a project planner, where all you're doing is you're sitting with the senior stakeholders and you're planning the approach, you're planning the how of that particular project or program. And then once that's done, then you go off to manage schedules, and you could be the project planner for the entire organization, which means you're overseeing a whole lot of plans and a whole lot of projects. You're even helping with reporting in some cases. Okay, and so if you're working in an organization, in an industry such as construction, for instance, it means that you've got to get a good sense of, what are the methodologies that work there? What kind of tools are they using? Is there any certification I should go and get right now? That's the kind of planning that you're making, those are the kind of plans that you're making for yourself, because you know you're headed towards project planning. A business analyst. Now, a business analyst is that person that understands the business and therefore works with the project people in terms of requirements, in terms of deliverables. Okay, and as the name suggests, they have a good sense of the business, of that business. Now, the business could be anything. It could be like a government office, it could be like a farm, it could be anything. So if you're going to be a business analyst, one of the things that you need to be thinking about is that what industry or industries do I want to focus on? Start trying to make strides into those, so that you become sort of like a subject matter expert. You understand that business, you understand that particular project, and you understand how things should work in terms of what needs to be done. Risk analyst. You know, there is an entire discipline around risk and managing risk. So if you want to get into that industry, again, it's about what is it? How do I get in there? But risk for which industry? Okay, is it pharma? Do I want to get into pharma? Do I want to get into marine? Where do I want to do? Where do I want to be managing and monitoring and reporting on this risk? And then you have project estimator. Project estimator, that I think that's sort of like the construction industry, and you're basically working very much alongside the business analyst, a project planner. You could be working alongside anybody really, and it's all about estimation. It's all about finance. You know, you're making an estimation as what's going to be taken, what it's going to take to deliver that particular project. You got the benefits analyst. Now, this is a very interesting one, because we do have a lot of times where people set out and they go ahead to set up projects, set up programs, but they have not thought how any benefit is going to be realized. Okay, and sometimes people don't want to think about it, to be honest, you know, but anyway, that's what being able to deliver a project and deliver a program is one thing. Being able to determine what benefits that will come along, what return on investments will come along, now that is another. So if you want to get into that, by all means, start making your stride, choose your industry, choose the kind of projects you want to get into, and by all means, start making your way in that case. Quality analyst, you know, being able to determine what done looks like, you know, the quality. You know, you can imagine there'll be some people that, you know, when you go into a particular furniture maker, and you know, theirs is just basic, you know, you've got some plywood and then there you go. And then you want to go to sort of like some Italian handmade type situations. The quality between those two outputs are going to be completely different. And so that's what a quality analyst does. A quality analyst is basically analyzing what that quality is, whether it's substandard, whether it's up to par, that sort of thing. So those are all the technical roles that you can put, and there are much more now with the advent of agile delivery. There's Scrum Master, you could be a product owner, you could work in the functional teams. There's even product management these days, you know, and you know, the sky is the limit these days. And let's not even begin to think about what's happening in the machine learning environment, in the artificial intelligence environment, what's happening in IT, cybersecurity, fraud. You know, it's just immense opportunity going on right now.